Tonight will be the concluding talk for this series of commentaries on the Song of Awakening. It's the last one. There's a verse after this as well, but it's nothing that we have not covered already. And I've been talking on the Song of Awakening for a long time. I like to end it. This particular passage, let me read it first. In resolving this matter, not a single thing is perceived. There are no persons or Buddhas. The countless worlds, like sands in the Ganges River, are just bubbles on the surface of the ocean. All holy sages are like flashes of lightning. Even if the iron wheels of the iron wheel turning king were to whirl and crush down on your skull, your perfected and luminous samadhi and prajna are never lost. So, it's not really a summary of this whole Song of Awakening. But a reiteration of some of the parts is already being said. And what is stating here is actually pretty wild. Pretty wild in context. Nowhere do we find in the early text, early Buddhist teachings. Yes, they say no self, things are impermanent, but they don't say there's no Buddha. They don't say there's no holy teachings. All the holy sages are arhats, great practitioners. Bubble, froth on the surface of the ocean? No, they don't say that. What about later teachings? Mahayana teachings. Indian Mahayana scriptures. They talk about, yes, no self, but also no dharmas, nothing to attain, no perfect, unsurpassable awakening. Prajna, wisdom, being ungraspable. But still, they don't say there's no Buddhas. I never came across that. They went in a roundabout way, like a circumventing the point. There's no self, there's no others, there are no sentient beings. Sentient beings, they can say that. No sentient beings. Nothing to attain, but explicitly stating there are no Buddhas. I don't know, Eric, have you come across? No. These are the words of Chan masters. What they say are not wrong. They are merely going to push it to the next level. early Buddhist teachings focus on dismantling suffering and its causes, which centers around me, I, my suffering. So in dismantling suffering, they point to the fact that there is no me, I, my. Therefore, suffering relinquished, essentially. The doctrinal explanation of that is, what does it mean there's no me, I, my? What we consider as me, I, my are made up of different dharmas, different conditionalities, factors. There's nothing permanent. All things are a conglomeration. And then the later teachings, the Mahayana teachings, push that further. Yes, all things are constructed by different dharmas, phenomenal realities, phenomenal appearances, conditionality. But the conditions and the appearances of dharmas themselves are empty. Right? How? It's just a word. It's just a label. It's just a construct. Some Mahayana tradition say that it's not only just words and construct. It's our minds that create them. Nothing exists outside of our own mental fabrication. So naturally, notions of Buddhahood, of attainment, is as a source of attachment must be relinquished. So Chan teachings push that a step further, explicitly stating there's no Buddha, no sentient beings. These words were said in the context of the Mahayana Buddhist tradition, in which the whole Buddhist project is to reach Buddhahood. That's the whole point. So that can be object of grasping, of one's practice, the goal. Right? Dismantle that. It's not to say that there's no need for practice. Of course. But so the first portion of this is the essential messages don't attach to the goal either. Right? Why? The last line. Why? Even if the iron wheels were to whirl and crush down on your skull, your perfected, luminous samadhi and prajna are never lost. Here, samadhi and prajna symbolize kind of two facets of our awakened nature. Our awakened nature is never lost. Our innate awakening is never lost. Samadhi. In the Mahayana tradition, connotates or how it's explained is beyond fixed posture, beyond form. Right? Samadhi is the emptiness aspect of our true nature. Luminosity, prajna, symbolizes the function of our true nature. The function of emptiness is compassion. Right? So wisdom and compassion, never lost, even if we were to go through suffering. So don't hold on to, chase after, grasp Buddha, spiritual goals, because we're already free. That's the message. This part is relatively easy to explain. There are some technical terms like countless worlds like sands in the Ganges River. Technically, the Chinese 大千沙界 refers to the Maha Sahasra, which is the trichiliocosm, the triple world, which constitute the domain of a Buddha. Right? Every threefold kind of world systems, right, is a domain of a Buddha. So simply it means this universe, if you will. So Buddhism doesn't recognize that this universe centers around the earth. Earth is just one small aspect of this universe. It's like a sand grain on this Ganges River. You can replace that with Panama City Beach if you want. Right? It's like one sand grain. That's like Earth. So there are countless world systems. Right? So threefold of that is the domain of a Buddha. So he says, the countless worlds like sands in the Ganges River are just like bubbles on the surface of the ocean. The world system, in this Saha world, we can say there are world of desire, world of form, world of formlessness. All the different variety of sentient beings with their own dispositions, their own idiosyncrasies, particular attachment, particular viewpoints. In this whole world system, everything in it, something so transient, like the bubbles on the surface. And the holy sages, like flashes of lightning that appear every so often, that explicate the Buddha Dharma, the teachings, for the sake of helping people to free themselves from suffering. They're like lightning, so brief. Another technical word is the iron wheel. This iron wheel, this Chinese is 铁轮. It's a weapon. It's a weapon of a wheel-turning king. Now, in this world of Jampudvipa, which is the southern hemisphere of this world system that evolve around Mount Sumeru. This is an Indian cosmology, kind of mythic cosmology. Jambudvipa, in the south of this Mount Sumeru, this great mountain, is the only place where human beings live. Other forms of sentient beings live elsewhere. So in this world, Jambudvipa, there are 4 Dharma protector kings. Sometimes you see them in the East Asian tradition, you see them on temple doors. Temple doors, 4 of them. One of them is holding iron wheel. That's referring to that one. Right? So this wheel is like a weapon that it's used to crush demons. So this Dharma protector takes on the wrathful form. And his name is Iron Wheel Turning King, Tielong Wang. So he rules the southern hemisphere of Jambudvipa, which is one of the 7 continents around Mount Sumeru. Okay, so Mount Sumeru, the 7 continents, the southern part of the south, Jambudvipa. Now he says, even if the iron wheels were to whirl around, crush down on your skull, your samadhi and prajna still never lost. Your awakening is never lost. So why would he do that? Short answer is, I don't know why he would do that to us. I don't know what Yongjia is thinking when he was saying this. So probably setting up some kind of framing, like this wheel, this iron wheel is a weapon that crushes over all enemies, all demons and oppositions and so on. So it's probably saying something like, if we behave like demons, untamed, wild, in our proliferation of grasping and unwholesome thoughts, actions, and he comes along with his iron wheel to crush over all the illusions that we have. Right? We're already free. Two aspects of our samadhi and prajna. Emptiness and its function. Right? Still exist. It's up to us to realize this, though. This is a good segue to talk about what I really want to talk about, which is the untamed, demonic, undisciplined, wild, deluded tendencies that we have. We can't help ourselves. Even though when we hear teachings like this, we're already free. It's a nice idea, isn't it? Yeah, I'm already free. Let me get some ice cream. I want a whole gallon of it. Or, let me do this. Let me do that. In our wild delusion, we justify things that we do. with all kinds of excuses. You know? Sentient beings in Jampatvipa, in this continent characterized by samsara, untamed. Persistent, stubborn. There are moments in which we have glimpses of the Dharma, maybe in approximate alignment with wisdom and compassion, kindness. But quickly we devolve into our own self-referential graspings. That's why we need practice. This world is made by us. This world. All the suffering, warfare. Most of the stuff is not directly in a simplistic cause and effect relationship. Like, you did this. I didn't cause the Ukraine war. I didn't do that. I didn't cause global warming. I didn't do. Most of the time, it's not direct, simple relationship like that. But all of our actions has repercussion. All of our collective energy, collective thinking leads to consequences, unforeseen consequences. And here, suffering refers to everything, from illness, from the rise of cancer, to starvation, definitely warfare. On a global scale, but also in neighborhoods, like warfare, conflicts, pervasive. Recently we've been donating goods, offering our services to Afghanistan bodhisattvas. There's been how do you say it? Transported to the United States, right? In different cities. We've been helping them. And we learned that in this process, we thought we were just like, we thought no one is, all the different communities and different religious organizations, not that many have stepped up. That's what we thought. But actually, they've been individually helping. Good. Why? Because they don't get along with each other. This church doesn't want to work with that church. So we're like, oh, how come there's only 3 people? Because they're individually donating. Even religious organizations. Even Buddhist organizations. Buddhists, like the Buddhists of Sri Lanka, South Asia, the radical, from our perspective. From their perspective, they're totally legit, I'm sure. From our perspective, radical, fundamentalist Buddhist waging war on the Rohingyas. What is going on in this world? Myanmar. Yeah. I have this picture of this monk in my mind. It's all over the internet. It's all over the internet. They call him the Bin Laden of Buddhism. But doesn't really matter what religious affiliation, what group we belong to, what ideology we uphold. Grasping a sense of identity, positionality against other. Rampant on our own individual choices, plus whatever group that we have identified with, Suffering. We are producing our suffering. And the truth is, people come to Buddha Dharma many times as an extension of their self-referential grasping. Very few are willing to let go. And they come to the Dharma to fulfill a particular need. To most common ones, probably just de-stress, to feel better, to be happier. It's understandable, of course. But the Dharma can help. But how far are they willing to go beyond that? Others come to the practice because of sense of community that they feel. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. They want to be a sense of connection. They want to be loved. So, but the Dharma becomes the other. Against which the me, I, my stand firmly. You keep me down. You provide me with this so I can feel good. And in most cases, in this process of interacting with Buddhist teaching, spiritual practice, meditation, and so on, there's really an unfolding of their own personal drama. Their own personal drama. How we, in practicing the Dharma, yes, we gain some benefit. Yes, we learn to be less selfish, self-centered. To what extent are we able to actually let go. When we encounter difficulties, circumstances, and with people, what manifests is our own drama, our own past replaying our survival mechanisms, our preferences, discriminations, and so on. So in order to realize our freedom from all of that baggage, what does true freedom mean? We first have to see how the saga that we, self-referential way kind of plays out in our life. And then learn to not suppress, not follow. Little by little, chip away. Push our limit. Let go. Let go of that. Take up responsibility for ourselves. Let go of that. These habit tendencies. And more and more we discover, what is it like to be free from burden? To be unburdened by the baggage that we carry. Otherwise, we're just shackled by it. In all this, views are the most dangerous. Views. Thirsty. Views. Grasping onto views. Ideologies. Including what we think Buddha Dharma should be, as opposed to some other religion. Like that view, that's problematic. Source of attachment. Buddha Dharma becomes a source of attachment. These views that we should uphold, in Buddhism we call them correct views. Right? Correct view is a view that we should uphold. The correct view is to be free from views. If any view that we learn in Buddha Dharma becomes something fixed and rigid, it's become poison. Its utility is most important. The views espoused in Buddhist teachings has a particular function. The function is freedom. But if we don't experience freedom from correct view, and it becomes something like a ruler that we use to judge ourselves and other people, then we have poisoned. We have poisoned this pure elixir of the Buddhist teaching with gunk in it. Can't drink it anymore. Views are not knowledge. The Buddhist teachings, correct views, is not knowledge. It's not limited to that. It must be embodied. It must be lived. It must serve its function of relinquish, let go of our self-referential attachments. If it doesn't serve that function, then it's just some book knowledge that we learn. It's not so useful. What about spiritual experiences? Insights that we have. They're not quite like views. They're embodied experiences. Sometimes that can be turned around into an object of attachment, and it brings all kinds of problems too. So this tendency of attachment is so rampant in us, so deep, that it can turn anything into a source of suffering for ourselves and those around us. There are a lot of things that we know we shouldn't do. We know it's not healthy, we know it's not good. We can't help ourselves. We do it. And it's very hard for those people around us, our friends, family, to help that person. Very hard when we hold on to views, when attachment is present. I have a student. That I want to help so much, but I can't. He gives all of his money away. Leaving him with nothing himself. Well, that sounds like non-attachment, right? No. The attachment is so deep. He give it away because it's a sense of control that he feels. He's the giver. He's the provider. Even when he has so little, he's left with so little, he must be the provider. And plus he's bad with money. So, what does that get him? He needs that. He needs that sense of. That's what he needs. Remember what I said earlier about sense of need to be seen, need to be heard, need to be loved, and need that connection. So we use money to buy it. But we are rich. Not in terms of dollar bills. Some of you, maybe. We are rich with samadhi and prajna. We're rich with our freedom, where nothing can define us. Nothing can limit us. That freedom. That needs to be discovered. Awakening. All of us are like that, to some extent or another. We engage, we connect in order to feel a need. There's something there. But we don't see the treasure inside. Something that's unborn, undying, is freedom. Perfect luminosity, it says. Text. What is that? So think about it. This perfect luminous freedom versus $200. Which one do you want? Or let's say $2,000. $2 million? Now we gotta think twice. Okay, I can retire early. I can build my own meditation center. No. Still not worth it. Still not worth it. We don't need to buy love. We don't need to buy connections. Especially when people receiving the stuff, they're just ripping you off. They're just taking advantage. Which perpetuates their greed. And we're taking part in that. We're taking part in increasing sentient beings' greed and aversion and delusion. You don't want to do that, do you? You want to free them. You don't want to be the cause for their perpetuation in samsara. Don't want to do that. Sentient beings are all about needs. If you come to think about it, isn't it? I need. But the problem with needs in sentient beings is they can't distinguish between need and want. They can't distinguish it. I need it. I think you want it. I don't think you need it. Do you know what I'm saying? That's our dilemma. We can't transcend our own vexations, which cloud us, so we cannot distinguish between need and want. Black and white, good and bad. And because our self-referential tendencies, grasping mind, is so cunning, we can come up with all kinds of excuses to justify the need, so-called need, which is really want, right? When there's a need, when there's a want, first of all, we have to learn to distinguish between want and need. But even if you can distinguish between want and need, when there's a need, there's self and others. There's good and bad. There's having, lacking. There's delusion. And there are definitely Buddhas. And there's definitely sentient beings. And there are all kinds of holy beings, and there are all kinds of demonic beings. Everything exists for you. All the polarities, oppositions of existence are all present. And you can bet suffering, vexations are present. So, Dharma practice is hard work. Of course, Dharma practice comes in different packaging. The Dharma of stress reduction. That's very easy to do. We're very good at letting go of stress. Right? Letting go of stuff to fulfill our needs. And then there's people that are real bodhisattvas. Beyond their own self-well-being, they go out of themselves to help other people. Very good. Have to go beyond. No beings to help. No Buddha to attain. Yet, engage in helping. No reward. No need for recognition. No need to distinguish between self and others. Different factions. Recognizing what needs to be done, what can be done in any given moment without injecting yourself in it, without reifying groups, others, them. Offer. Then, and I must say, without reifying the sense of need, like, I need to help them, I need to help them. They don't need you to help you. Everyone is substitutable. You know, a lot of people, when they're great bodhisattvas, I need to do this, I need to help, I need to help, I need to. You're substitutable. And yet, you offer yourself. Then when things don't work out, it's still all good. Okay? Right? Compassion in action. No self. Fulfill a need. I need to help others. They need my help. No one needs your help. No self, no others, no sentient beings, yet offer. That's compassion in action. Then, slowly but maturely, our tendency to control, our tendency to reify, solidify things, the grasping mind, slowly diminish, slowly. And we slowly come in accordance with the Dharma. So it's not a practice of passivity, no. Very engaging, but no self, no others, no gift either. Yes, still give, still help. You want to try to do that? We have to catch ourselves. We have to catch ourselves when we give. Do you need it? Do you need to give? Do you think they need it? They need it. I need to. No. Yet, we give. See? And then we'll be able to perceive whether their needs come from vexations or not. And our needs stem from grasping or not. Right? That is Dharma practice. Chan practice. But we start from the beginning. We start with a self. With a self. With a coherent self. Offer, we see self, we see other. We know very well what our needs are. Right? We see that. We can't help it when we see that. We learn to slowly fulfill the needs, but slowly chip away, challenge. Do I really need it? Is it a need or a want? Slowly chip away at that. Then you see that you may not need it. Have you experienced that before? Where you really think you need something and then you really don't need it. A lot of things are like that. When we are locked in that mode of need, control, we can't really see outside of it. From that perspective, need and want are blurred, and we can't disentangle it. So we think we really need it. But maybe we don't need it. When we don't need it, other possibilities come. We can see other possibilities. We don't have to have it. Something like this. We don't have to have it. Other possibilities will emerge. See? A lot of things are like that. A lot of things in life are like that. It's just, what do we do when we have this impulse to act, and we're kind of almost slipping into that mode, being locked into this need and want blurred to do this. If we're not sure, maybe we call someone. Call a friend. Do I really need that? They have no vested interest in this. I don't think you need it. Or you just watch. You watch yourself. Watch this need. You don't respond to it. Don't suppress it. You just watch. You watch it. Then it passes. I don't need it after all. Sentient beings in this world of Jampudvipa, in the realm of desire, are characterized by desire. You know, the desires are very strong. I remember when I was a monk, this is a secret oral teaching that you're going to receive now. You didn't ask for it. I'll just share it with you. About sexual desire. Now, monastics are celibate. Right? You want to know the secret? Raise your hand if you want to know. No one's raising hand? Okay. I don't need to tell. Fred wants to know. Okay. Okay. So we're in a monastery. All of us are a bunch of young monks, nuns. We're all young. You know, at that time I was the youngest. You know, but my teacher said to me, you know, and I don't know what he teaches, how he teaches to women, the nuns. Maybe he's got something else up his sleeve, some secret teaching that I don't know about. But for monks, for monks, a lot of the young people, this kind of sexual drive. The birds are getting really excited here. What? It's spring. They're driven by sexual desires. You know, this is not going to work for birds. But young men, they have sexual drives, but a lot of that drive is actually physiological. You know. Now, normally we think about it first, then we have a physiological response. You know. Sometimes, a lot of times, it's the other way around. The other way around. These physiological energies and just biological functions of being a human being that throughout the day, throughout the night, for men, they have erections. You don't know that? Right, yeah? It's not that they're thinking about it. It's not that we're thinking about it. Sometimes we're thinking about it. But it's a lot of times it's just physiological. So what do we do at night? You know? So before we get to that, physiological stirring up particular type of thoughts. It's actually reverse. It's not in the middle of the night, you're kind of dizzy, dreaming, half awake, you're thinking about something. You can be not thinking about that, but you have a physiological response. And then the chemicals flowing through your body, then giving rise to thought. Sexual thought. You know, it's very interesting if you watch the emergence of sexual thought. Right? It's like chicken and egg. A lot of times, eggs first, then the chicken come out. Start thinking about it. So my teacher says, when you sleep, you tie a rope around your neck to behind your knees. So you sleep in a fetus position. No erections. Very difficult to have an erection. Basically, you don't have an erection. You can sleep pretty peacefully. Plus, you're engaging in practice. So most of the time, you don't have too much wandering thought. Your life is very simple. You see, you don't have too much stimulations, temptations. So you're not consciously thinking about it. And when you're unconscious, half asleep, in the morning, you don't have conscious control of yourself, and physiological response can give rise to thought without you even wanting it, you know? It's like the limbo, transitional periods. You gotta pay attention to that. So you just sleep with a rope, tie around the neck, you sleep fine. Quite comfortable. You just celibacy. No problem. Yeah. The men here, you want to try it tonight? Just try it. Just try it for like Actually, morning erection and the middle of the night erection, that's a sign of health. It's just your body's way of working itself out biologically. I don't know the biology behind it. It's just the blood circulation, all kinds of stuff. So what will happen if you don't have that? If your body posture is such that you don't have erection? People are fine. Right? Worst posture is you sleep on your back. Sleep on your back. Or sleep on your stomach. Pressing against, the bed, pressing against your genital. Bad. So try it. Get a rope. Tie it. So go on YouTube. I don't know if this is. The point is, these needs that we have, even the strong impulse of sexual drive that define the human species. This is part of our species. Distinct feature to procreate. That's why we have these functions, right? Transcend that. Transcend what defined you as a human being. You're not a human being. You're a Buddha. Fully awakened. Perfect. Luminous in your potential in samadhi and prajna. Difficult. That, I'm not saying that practice of using rope and so on, with bands and so on, is the way to transcend suffering. I'm not saying that. The point is, those drives, the needs are not that much need. They may not need just biological functions. What we think is need, maybe we don't need it. You understand? Another thing that my teacher taught me, difficult one. He says, loneliness. You have to work. You meaning monastics. Have to work on being okay by yourself, alone. That's another characteristic feature of human beings as social animal. Procreate, social. He says, something that we monastics need to learn to practice. Being okay, being alone. Social. That's our human trait. Not to say we have to live alone. Not the point. Physiologically, is there a need? Emotional, psychically, mentally. Dimension of need to connect. Is there a need? It's difficult. The point is not to separate ourselves. The point is we have no need. We transcended our needs, and yet we can truly connect with others without an agenda. To connect, I need to get something from you. That is compassion. which is the function of wisdom. Emptiness, selflessness. That's hard to do, isn't it? So, the bar is set quite high. Don't take these words of Yongjia, the Song of Awakening, as some nice idea to pat ourselves on the back, original awakening, we're already free. He's talking about this practice. So, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, we're not of samsara, let alone human species. Yet we're engaged with the world. That's the highest caliber of bodhisattva work. But what do we do when we have these urges? For ordinary needs, maybe you need a friend to share some idea, assess whether we really need this or not. Have a discussion. But something to our own practice, to our own being, we have to observe these needs. Don't follow, don't reject. See if we really need it or not. Most people are unwilling to do that. It sounds scary to them. Sounds scary to them. That's okay. Just practice. Keep on practicing. Keep on practicing. We don't need to force ourselves. This is not a ruler that we gauge ourselves. Keep on practicing. But we must know even though we're unable to do this, we must know there's a principle behind why we suffer. Why we are entrenched in vexations, grasping and need, confusing with want. With the Dharma, we practice the middle way. There's some needs that we still need to eat. Right? We need to do all kinds of things to live, support a family, to continue. We're not monastics. We need to do that. But we don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. We observe these tendencies that we have. And little by little, we chip away. We challenge. Is there really a need? What if we don't have it? Then creativity will come. Innovation will come. Other ways, other solutions normally will come out if we can't have this. We need to learn to say no to our needs, which we confuse with wants. Little by little, just challenge ourselves. Do I really need it? What if I'm not here? Do they really need me to help them? Right? The truth is, you don't help, someone else will help. Right? When we don't have that agenda, then we help. We help. Right? We don't wait till we have that. We don't have that agenda. That's too long. But we learn to challenge it a little bit. Keep ourselves in check. We always practice. All for ourselves for the benefit of what needs to be done. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? How many of you have heard this series of talks, Song of Awakening, basically or almost from the beginning? Yeah. How was it? Any questions from it? Can you remember it? When you think about it, you can raise. Okay. Eric? You have any questions? Is this different from Tibetan tradition? Okay. Susan? It's okay? Difficult? Stimulates thinking.
Yeah.
It's okay. Yeah. Ian?
It reminded me of something that always troubled and puzzled me. When I was researching in India, I went to Bodh Gaya, and I don't know if you know, Bodh Gaya is in one of the poorest states in India. And it's situated very, I would say, uncomfortably, where there's a ring of very kind of tourist-centered, international-centered sites right around the temple, and then steps outside. There's just abject poverty. Yeah. And it was something that I struggled with. I was only there for a couple days, but I just struggled with the idea of, I'm here intentionally on a pilgrimage and trying to reflect on the message of the Buddha, and it's very, I don't know if you've ever been or know, but it's very divided. You have basically each Buddhist majority country sponsors a small monastery that they put around Bodh Gaya. And so it's like, it's this, on one hand, center. Beautiful and inspirational experience, but it's very segregated, and it was the poverty and the ignorance of poverty by the Buddhist community seemed inescapable. And it was something that I always struggled with. And that kind of message that you talked about of trying to get the various religious congregations in town reminded me of, like, if all of these small countries, Buddhist majority countries, got together and actually decided to care about Bodh Gaya as a city instead of Bodh Gaya as a temple.
Or as a site of a Buddha's awakening.
Yeah.
You know? That's what needs to be done.
Yeah.
That's what needs to be done. The things that people do to reify, solidify, segregate, create. It's amazing. When we make something, when we reveal something, when we amplify something, at the same time, we conceal something else. Always. It's sad. There was a great Korean Zen master. He wanted to go to China. This is in pre-modern time. Forget his name. Wonyo. W-O-N-Y-O. Wanted to go to China. China is this great central kingdom. He's a monk. He's gotta go get scripture. That's where the hippest Buddhists are, the temples and everything. In the middle of warfare, he's traveling through treacherous battlefields, trying to not die. Internal civil war in Korea. The dead bodies all over the place. Finally find some respite, in the middle of the night. Pouring rain. Find this old temple shack. Stays there. In the middle of the night, comes out, thirsty, want to drink something. You remember passing by a small stream, trying to find it in the middle of dark. Finally drinking water. How many of you know that story?
Yes.
Vaguely. Drinking water. I can't wait. I'll be close tomorrow. The border, I can get a boat, and I can go to China. Drinking water. So sweet. Water. I can't remember to come back here tomorrow morning. Goes back, sleep. In the morning, he comes back, goes over there, start drinking water, wash up. And then he looked up. He looked up right before the dead corpse right there. That water that he's been drinking. His blood is draining through that. Maybe no more blood, just corpse decomposed. I don't know where the sweetness come from. So he's just, I think, in that moment of about to vomit, about to just total disgust, good thing with him is he studied Yogacara, which is the teaching of all things are constructed by the mind. In that moment of great awakening, that juxtaposition of sweetness of water last night versus the water that he's drinking now, same river, up ahead, a dead corpse, half lying in the water, drinking that water. After that episode of Great Awakening, he says, turn around, pack his bag, went back. No need to go to China anymore. He never went to China. He became one of the greatest commentarial leaders of Korean Buddhism that formed the foundation of the great doctrinal teachings of the Huayan school. You know? Bodh Gaya. Oh, I want to go to Bodh Gaya. I want to go to Bodh Gaya. All these shopping center, Dharma center, every tradition's got their own representative center there. The Japanese Zen, the Tibetan tradition, and Vipassana, and everyone's got their own little shop set up. And then in this abject poverty, where's Bodh Gaya? Where's the Buddha's site of awakening? Where's the Bodhi tree? Where is it out there? Where? It's within each of you. But in order to truly sit under that Bodhi tree within you and realize your Bodhi awakening, gotta engage in practice. Needs and want. First, learn to distinguish. Then we can talk about even dropping your need to help people. Your need to do this. Your need to do that. You don't need anything. Your need to become a Buddha. Your need to realize awakening. Dismantle, chip away bits and pieces until you transcend this whole world of samsara. The greed, hatred, ignorance. The needs, physical, emotional. It's all good. Don't need. It's very difficult to practice, it's all good. Right? Casting this light, it's difficult. Right? You gotta practice it. Then, when you have no need, you'll be a beacon for sentient beings. You'll be able to help them without agenda. We will probably stop this Monday evening up another topic. We'll just sit and practice. Friday, I'm already giving the class that ends in June. So we'll just practice. All right. And then maybe after this series ends, this summer, I'll be going away to London, FSU program. Teach there for a month. After I come back, then another topic we can pick